This is P3, programming problem 3. So here, I'm not going through the solution. I'm just going over how I auto-grade these questions. So here, there are two parts. First part is generating a Markov chain, and second is naive Bayes. So the first part corresponds to questions from 1 to 6. And the first question is just enter whatever you like. You don't need to use the script that I recommended. You can do whatever you like. So just enter the name, you'll get 1 point. And second, you are just asked to enter 27 numbers. So because I don't have the database for all the scripts, so I'm not going to actually check it. I'm just checking whether the sum is equal to 1 and whether there are 27 numbers. So that's all I check. And next, the same thing for the bigram model. So we are just checking, we have 27 lines and each line sum up to 1. So because I'm asking to round to 4 decimal places, I'm going to allow a mistake of say plus or minus 0.001. So make sure that they add up to something close to 1. And another thing I'm actually checking here, a sanity check, is because I asked you to remove all the double spaces. So you should not have a space after a space. So the first number should be exactly 0. I'm also checking that. And the next one, the smoothing one, because I don't know the count, so I cannot actually generate this. So again, I'm checking they summed up to 1. And because we are smoothing these transition probabilities, all of them should be strictly larger than 0. So make sure you don't have anything that says 0.0, because I want you to round it up to at least 0.0001. Okay, so that's one thing to be careful about. Again, if you just enter some random number, as long as it's different from someone else, then it should be okay. I mean, someone else reading not the same script. But even if you are using the same script, maybe some of you remove some of the punctuation, remove the and some of those words, and you'll get different probabilities as well. And question 5 is the most controversial one. How am I grading question 5? I'm actually generating the unigram and bigram model based on your random sentences. And I'm comparing that these unigram and bigram model are close to the ones that you entered in question 2 and 3. So that means there is some randomness. So it's possible that for some reason you generated something that's not close to the model that you trained. So in that case, I would recommend you to generate it multiple times, and sometimes you will pass the auto grader. So at the beginning, I set the closeness threshold to be 0.001, which works for the TA solutions, but it didn't work for some of you, so I think I relaxed it and made it 0.01. So it still needs to be very close, but as I said, if you try multiple times, most likely it should actually work. And I'm actually not checking for trigram because I don't have the trigram. So technically, if you just use the bigram model, you can pass as well. But again, I highly recommend you to use the trigram model, because if you use bigram, you will not generate words like the ones that make sense. Like some of these words are actually English words. So that's basically that. So for the trigram model, you do need to smooth. If you don't smooth, there are ones that generate 0 probability. So 0 over 0 probability. So we discussed this in class, so I'll not talk about this again. So that's basically the 10 points here. And the next one, just enter one random interesting sentence. None of these will be sentences. You just randomly pick one. So the only thing I'm checking is it does not have a very special pattern. And also, after you submit, I'm going to check if 2 people submit exactly the same sentence, so both of you will get 0 for the whole assignment. For obvious reasons. Right. And next, these are part 2. the naive Bayes. And the naive Bayes are based on two things. First is based on question 2. So it depends on the unigram model that you generated for question 2, and also the unigram model that's generated based on this non-English script, which is very obviously non-English. And so after you have these two unigram models, I am actually computing these probabilities myself, and I'm checking whether your probabilities are close to mine, basically the solution. So you do need to compute these correctly. I think I talked about Bayes rule already in class and in one of the recorded video, and also for one of the homework questions. So you should use that formula to actually compute these things based on the two unigram probabilities, because that's what I'm checking here. And the same goes for question 8. So for these two questions, and also question 9, I am actually using the unigram that you provided, and I calculated based on my test script, and I'm actually calculating these, and I'm comparing whether yours numbers are exactly the same as mine. So these need to be right. They cannot just be random things sum up to 1. Okay, and again, these are Bayes rule. And at the end, the prediction. So here, the prediction, I'm checking two things, same as B2. I'm checking whether they are consistent with these likelihood, actually posterior probabilities that you use. So they need to be consistent. If they are not, you'll get 0. So for example, if you enter random numbers here and just enter all zeros, you will not get any points. So it needs to be, these posterior need to be correct, and then they need to generate these labels. And second, I'm checking if they are all 0. So if, as I said, if there are a few ones, I'm okay with it.